So, what is it giving? How is the Hunger Games providing a resource? Well, first of all, it creates parasocial relationships. It involved the citizens so much that what Coriolanus presents ends up happening. They root for the one they like the most, they go against the ones they don't, and the whole betting system allows them to create parasocial relationships with the players. Meaning that they can pretend to be on someone's side. And we see this in social media. Social media has given us this idea of parasocial relationships with people we don't know, because we see into their homes, we see into their lives, they tell us about what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and we create parasocial relationships. And it is the same idea that we are seeing within the games and the victors. I truthfully believe that the type of people that go into the arena, the ages, the physical structures are predetermined. I do not think that it is completely a game of chance. I truthfully do not believe it is a game of chance of, oh, you have so many names, right, written down because you took so much Tesseract. I don't think that's how it's working. I truly believe that the names that are inside those balls are predetermined because of what you look like, what you sound like, the age you have, and what you could provide if you eventually became a victor. It is pre-arranged. Like, I also believe that the arenas are not multiple arenas throughout Panem. It is one near the capital that they can control and change when they need to change it. And we see those changes happening. We see it in Katniss's games when they start burning the thing down. We hear it again. I have not read Sunrise. We hear it when the volcano explodes, right? Or when the earthquake breaks the dam. They can change the arena how they need it to be changed. So I do not believe that the arenas are built and created throughout the years in different parts of Panem. I think that the whole tourist part of visiting the arenas are mini arenas created exactly for that thing, depending on the climate that was used for the games. And that they're working together. What am I implying? I am implying that the games are rigged. Yeah. But not to the name of the person. I never believed that it was on purpose that Primrose was reaped. I don't. Okay? I don't think that Primrose was reaped because she is Primrose and because she's who she's descended from, and because if Katniss is Covey, that means she is Covey. And I truly believe it's the dad. Please don't tell me I haven't read Sunrise. But I do believe. And I don't think that's why she was called. I think she was called because she was 12. And I think we see it a little bit referenced in the movie more than in the book when they show that really quick view of what I forgot the word in English. Oh, the betting, that's the word. Rue ends up being one of the ones they believe is going to win. Like, she's getting a lot of bets. They think Rue can make it out. Probably because of the parallel with Joanna and how Joanna portrayed herself of being very meek and ended up being a killing machine. So I do think that's why she was so young. And because if not, then there's this whole other part of Snow putting in the descendants of the Covey. But I don't think he put the whole Covey in. I think he would only make sure that it is the descendants of Lucy. So, no, I don't think it went directly to Prim because of that. I think it was her age. And I don't think he ever expected the one that looked like Lucy to come front and center and say, I volunteer. But anyway, going back to the structure of the games and how they show us politics and the destruction of empires. It's been, by the time Katniss comes on and we have this whole debacle of Prim and volunteering in District 12, and District 12 only having had 2 victors, one dead, one alive, but completely destroyed. We are walking into a world that for 65 years, probably a little bit less because it's probably from when Snow actually becomes president, maybe it is before he became president, of debauchery, and how the I've got it written down here, how the overindulgence of the capital above the districts has led to the point where this double-edged knife of control, where you keep control by keeping them hungry and keeping them working, has gotten to the point where the knife is flipping and they are becoming a weapon because they are so starved and tired and annoyed and they've got nothing else to lose. And that's the thing. When you force your population to that point, to the brink of what else is there? Like, we've literally got nothing else to lose. Like, I don't know if I'm eating tomorrow. Might as well just die today. And if I die, it should be for a good cause. I totally lost the train of thought in that by kicking that mosquito out of my face. Right. So, by this double-edged knife with which you create control, you start to see the downfall of the situation. Now, historically, an empire will last around 250 years. That's it. That's how long empires survive. Now, let's say Panem has existed, give or take 100 at this point, because it was, 3 years of war for the Dark Days, and then it was 75 years of Hunger Games, so we're on the 80s. Let's say maybe there were another 20 years before, maybe. So let's round it up to 100. Panem has existed for 100. But for those 100 years, at least the last 50 years have been of debauchery for the ruling class of Panem, right? They've become so comfortable in the world they live, and they've become so depraved by the Hunger Games, what the Hunger Games gives them, that it is the beginning of the downfall. They forgot that they need to keep the districts content to a certain extent for their balance to work. And the districts are no longer content. They're exhausted. They are seeing every year more and more be put into the games and more be put into the capital, but yet they are given less and less and less. And again, if they're going to die, they're going to die, and they're going to die fighting, because that's what we are, I want to say wired to do. And especially if you are giving a taste of this victors, if you are giving this victors a taste of what life would be within the capital, but not completely, right? Because even Katniss says it, right? A lot of the children of victors end up going back into the arena. Again, they are rigged to keep the capital happy. So if you as a victor are finally given the idea that you can survive, that you can live through this, make your own family, you don't have to work for a living, you are comfortable within your district, you do have to come back, you do have to work for the games, but mostly you are left alone to raise a family and to do your own thing, and then your own family ends up being part of the games. While it should break you, and it probably broke a lot of victors, many of them would create a resentment, and many of them would fight against the structure. So the balance that was created isn't properly balanced. Snow mentions it when he talks to Katniss about how fragile it is to keep the country standing. Katniss cannot understand it because all she's ever lived is suffering. She doesn't see how double-edged that knife is, and how that knife is literally standing on its point, balancing a whole system. And if it falls to one side, it is going to end up killing the system. And it is going to end up killing everything that they have created. So after 65 years, or 75 years, I'm going to say 65 because the first 10 we do not really know what happened, of debauchery and overindulgence, we start to see the system crumble. And it is crumbling because they forgot to keep the districts content. Because there can be contentment. You can create those sense, but it's going to be expensive. And I don't think Snow wants to give into that expense. I don't think he wants to make sure that it's working. He wants to keep control by power and by force, because it is what he believes will keep him safe. And here's the interesting part. Because of how Snow was himself poisoned, he knows he's dying. And he doesn't want the system to die as he dies. And which is why he fights so hard to try and maintain the system against Coin.